What's on, guys? Jason back my channel. Tonight we do review for SummerSlam. I was about to say Friday Night SmackDown and stuff, but we're gonna go ahead do it then with the first match, tag team match: Robert Reigns and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker with and Bronson Reed with Paul Heyman. All right, so here we go. I fast forward to the entrances because they kind of take forever and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and do with the get going with the match and stuff. So here we go. All right, we get our bell opening. All four men come to blows. With Jay pairing off with Breaker as Reigns begins to 10 punch Reed while mounted in the corner. Uso and Reigns clear the ring. Jay eats and once Roman 2, Reigns tells Uso to run it back, so Uso calls for production to run it back. run back. Uso's music plays and Reigns slash Uso jam a bit until Bronson Reed spoils the fun. All four men brawl on the outside. The ref allows a lot of lateral. Reed sends Reigns into the steel steps as Uso and Breaker battle in the ring. Finally, order is restored and Bronson Reed begins to work over Jey Uso in the ring. Um, Reed takes Uso into the heel corner and tags in Breaker. Roman's down outside, but begins to recover as the crowd chants for him. Breaker takes a lengthy stretch and control of Uso. Reigns finally returns to his corner, and Breaker takes time out to taunt him. Breaker brings Reed back in. Breaker slaps a chin lock on Uso and begins to taunt Roman Reigns, mocking the European style chant. The crowd does, I don't know, okay, whatever, by saying Reigns sucks and shouldn't have returned. Breaker takes a very lengthy return and control, keeping the pace slow while utilizing working holds and taunts to batter Uso's body and spirit. Breaker sends Uso outside and looks for a diving attack off the apron, but Uso moves out of the way. Breaker crashes knee first into the reinforced side of the table. Uso drags himself into the ring as Heyman checks on Breaker. Reed tries to stop Uso from tagging, but Uso sends him out of the way. Uso dramatically goes for the top tag, but Breaker enters the ring and intercepts him at the last second to booze. Breaker resumes stomping away on Uso. Finally, Jey Uso manages to hit a desperation. Oh, sorry, guys. To desperation, DC causing enough separation to make the hot tag to Roman Reigns. Reigns comes in and takes it to a Breaker, dropping him with a huge diving clothesline to a big pop. Reigns begins to unload Breaker in the corner with clubbing forearms as the crowd keeps count. Reigns looks for a spear, but Breaker intercepts him with a back elbow. Reigns clotheslines Breaker over the top rope to another pop. The crowd's eating all folks. Reigns executes a high flying dive over the top rope to wipe out both Breaker and Reed. At ringside, great height, and on that one, Reigns pulls up in the corner and locks in, executes Superman punch to Reed. Breaker rolls Reigns up from behind, but only gets a two. Then takes out Reigns' knee. Breaker pulls down his straps and the crowd barks for it. Steiner runs rope to rope and right into a Superman punch from Reigns. Reigns didn't see the blind tag from Reed as Breaker bounced off the ropes. However, and Reed drops Reigns from behind. Stupid thing. Reed with a big running splash into the corner. Reed fails to see Jey Uso tag Reigns. It draped over Reed's shoulders. Uso enters the ring and takes down Reed. Uso takes Reed to the corner for a hip attack. Reed clobbers Uso as he runs in again. Death Valley driver from Reed. Reed covers for two. Excuse me. The action spills outside as Reed continues to wreak havoc. Breaker posts up around the ring, eyeing Reigns, then off for a rapid speed flying clothesline that sends Reigns over the barricade. Reed takes Uso into the ring and tags in Breaker. Reed positions Uso on top of his shoulders as Breaker heads up top, and they hit the Flying Bulldog and shades of the Steiner brothers. Excuse me. A cover for No Joy. Reed stays in the ring as Breaker heads outside looking for another running. Shit, where am I at? Looking. towards for Jordan Joy and looking for. Okay, here we go. Looking for another running spear. Reigns shoves Jey Uso out of the way and intercepts with a Superman punch. Reigns spears Breaker through the barricade. Rhea attacks Uso and takes him inside as both Reigns and Breaker are down. Heyman tells Reed to finish him off, and Reed yells for a tsunami. Reed climbs up top, but Reigns catches him from the blind side with a Superman punch. Uso and Reigns work together to hit the 1D on Reed. Uso covers, but Breaker makes a save. Breaker taunts the crowd. Several moments pass. Everyone's down, but Breaker. Everyone's down but Breaker. Breaker mounts Uso and pounds with big rights. Commentary praised Breaker for not even looking tired. Breaker pulls down the straps to a huge pop. Breaker pulls up pulls up in the corner, points at Jey Uso, screams with a fury, and charges Roman Reigns. Shoves Jey Uso out of the way and eats the spear. Jey fires off a spear of his own, dropping Breaker Uso up top and hits an Uso splash on ring, covering for a fast count. It felt fast. We got the win. Alright, so anyways, your winners, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Alright, so second match coming up. Second match coming up, WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. WWE Women's Tag Team Championship match, the Judgment Day or the Champions versus Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. After the filler hype, Elizabeth begins her interest in the player out the Judgment Day. Alright, anyways, we get the bell as the Judgment Day attack the challengers. Perez and Bliss start us off. Bliss quickly sends Perez across the ring, attacks and Flair to some minor woos. I had a progress type before time takes wipe it out. You didn't miss much. Okay, anyways, Bliss came in for a lengthy stretch and the heels dominate. Bliss accidentally clocked Flair in a spot. Flair hinted at retaliation, but in the end, took out Raquel to allow Bliss to hit Sister Abigail and pick up the win and the straps. Anyways, so your winners and new women's tag team champions, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. So I guess the person was having issues, that's up. So, alright. I kind of did have some issues during the show because it kept on buffering real quick or freezing or whatever, but whatever. So anyways, second match, Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross with Scarlett. Alright, Kross is just alright. Sami Zayn's out next and stuff. We get the bell. The action spills outside. Sami Zayn hits a moonsault off the barricade to wipe out Kross before taking the action. Back inside, Zayn looks for a top row attack, but Kross avoids it. Kross with a Death Valley driver for an early pin attempt. The pace slows a bit, and crowd rips off a dueling chant that's incredible. Anyways, Kross maintains control for a lengthy period. Kross looks for a few covers throughout. He begins to yell and taunt Sami, including yelling, "Just say it, bastard." Okay. Scarlett slips a weapon into the ring. As Zayn makes his combat, she taunts him, encouraging him to use the heat things over several long moments, but tosses it out. Kross tries to roll him from behind, but Zayn escapes. Zayn hits an exploder on Kross in the corner, and then a liver kick. Zayn covers and picks up the win. So your winner is Sami Zayn. It was a short match, and then after that they did a tribute thing real quick with Hulk Hogan and stuff. And alright, we get the next match going. WWE Women's Championship match. Tiffany Stratton, who is the champion, versus Jade Cargill. Now seeing Jersey in 32 minutes. Our last bell for the bell. I was trying. Sorry, guys. I was trying. Okay. Anyways, we get the bell. Tiffany screams. What time is it? Before the two engage, they start the pace slow. Tiffy extends a handshake, and Cargill jump kicks her in the face, covering for two. The action spills outside early on. Cargill rolls in and out of the ring. That's appropriate to break the rest count. Finally, Cargill takes it inside and taunts the crowd with a flex. Tiffany attacks her from behind and sends her outside, then follows it up with a spot on suicide dive to wipe out the challenger. Stratton takes it inside the ring, then heads up to the top turnbuckle, hitting a swanton off the top for a 1.5 count. Cargill pulls herself up into the corner and counters Stratton's handspring slash backspring slash. Okay, whatever. Come on. All right, Cargill takes a turn in control, hitting a sit-on powerbomb that she calls the Eye of the Storm for two. The two begin to slug it out in the ring. After several moments, Shine hits the flippy move on Cargill Then it's a crappy Alabama slam in the middle of the ring. Strand goes for the prettiest moonsault ever, but Cargo gets the knees up. Cargo looks for a cover, but Strand rolls through and gets a hold of the ropes in the corner. Cargo hits a choke slam, then throws Tiffany into the corner. Cargo climbs the turnbuckles and pulls Strand up with her setting up for a jaded attempt. Strand counters, diving off and flipping Cargo across the ring. Strand rushes up top and hits the prettiest moonsault ever and picks up the win. So your winner is still WWE Women's Champion, Tiffany Stratton. It was a quick match though. All right, so next match coming up is a tag team match. Another tag team match. Randy Orton and Jelly Roll versus Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. All right. All right, Paul begins and stuff. Blah blah. Alright, so Jerry rolls out next, who pauses the stage again on the mic. He likes to take a moment to pledge allegiance to the apron. Tonight, he sings the opening line of Orton's theme. Out comes he giving Mr. Going over to some behalf Jelly over corner or something. He doing the words on the track and stuff, blah blah. He come out or told Jerry Roll when lost. Great for I'm sure he lost with him. Alright, sorry guys, we're fine. Alright, anyway, here we go. We get the bell going. We start with Logan Paul hitting a cheap shot. Hitting a cheap shot on Jelly Roll, causing Orton to chase him after him until the ref stops him. After some discussion, it looks like Orton and Paul are starting. The crowd's hot for this one. Jelly Roll immediately tags himself in as he's hot after the cheap shot from Logan Paul. Orton concedes. The crowd cheers for Jelly Roll. Roll and Logan spend time jollying just fights. Some folks on stuff. All right, finally, Logan Paul kicks Roll in the midsection. We're Paul with the scoop slam on Roll with the of his own roll covers for two. Shocking. Okay, shocking Paul. Drew McIntyre tags in the crowds loud with a Jelly Roll chance. Orton tells Roll to tag him in, so Roll decides to taunt McIntyre before tagging Orton. McIntyre smacks him in the head again. Orton tells Roll to tag him in, but Roll wants to discuss it. Orton finally fires roll up, and Roll marches up to McIntyre coming face to chest with Drew. Then suddenly Jelly seems to regret this. Drew yells, "This is how the music dies," only for Roll to slap him. Roll with a series of jabs to stun Drew briefly before McIntyre shuts him down with a Glasgow Kiss headbutt. Drew begins to work Roll over on the ropes while taunting Orton. McIntyre with the chest slaps on Roll in the corner. McIntyre with a big right that drops Roll to the mat. Drew begins to work Roll's arm, yelling at Orton. I hear voices, and they said, "You're screwed. You're screwed." Logan Paul attacks in and slows the pace. The crowd loudly yells, "Fuck you, Logan," and gets censored. Well, yeah. Anyways, Logan continues to spend time taunting Jelly Roll, Randy Orton, and the crowd. Paul takes Roll into a heel corner and unloads a series of body shots, maintaining control. Paul stands on the middle rows and grabs Roll's head, rubbing Roll's face and Paul's crotch to boost. McIntyre tags in and uses a side headlock to restrain Roll. Drew with the punishing blows to restrain Roll. Drew strikes over and hits a cheap shot on Randy Orton to boost Drew. Mocks Orton. Drew sees Jelly Roll and charges him. Roll drops down and sends McIntyre flying over the top rope. Orton resumes his position in the corner and Roll makes a hot tag. Orton sends Logan out of the ring, then hits his power slam combo on McIntyre. The crowd's on fire. Orton with his patented draping DT on Drew. Orton's viping up, slamming his fist into the mat as he calls for the RKO. Paul drags McIntyre out of the ring to loud boos. Orton exits the opposite side, stalks Paul, and begins to attack him at the riverside area. McIntyre tries to intervene, but Orton backdrops him on the commentary table. Paul rushes in and eats a backdrop for his troubles. Drew McIntyre eats a claymore from out of nowhere on Orton, dropping him. Jelly Roll recovers and checks on Orton. Paul attacks Roll from behind, hitting a clubbing axe handle blow across his back. Logan calls for his titanium loaded right hand and hits his knockout punch on Jelly Roll outside the ring. The rest giving them ample leeway for with this match. Paul clears the commentary table, then drinks a Prime from the Prime station by commentary. Drew McIntyre pulls Jelly Roll up and puts him on the commentary table. Paul heads up top, climbing on the top of the ring post. He toes some Prime bottles as Drew counts him down, then hits a diving frog splash off the top onto Jelly Roll and through a table at right in front of his wife. The Madman EMTs check on Jelly Roll after the big bump. Logan Paul hands Mike Cole with something. I'm not sure if he went to with that. Probably a Twinkie or something. It was his sunglasses. Alright, so anyways, McIntyre heads into the ring and plays it up to the crowd. This is the hottest crowd's been all night, by the way. Anyways, the action resumes in the ring as Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre work together to stomp away at Orton in the corner. Rolls should be okay. The medical staff are during their due diligence. Paul and McIntyre use quick tags to keep Orton isolated as medical staff begin helping Roll limp around the ring towards the back. Logan mocks Roll as he's being held past them. Drew sets up Orton for a blockbuster from Paul. Paul covers for two, but Orton kicks out. Jelly Roll is shown pausing at the start of the ramp, all while Logan Paul laughs and mocks him. Drew McIntyre heads up top, taunting the crowd, and Orton recovers and begins to battle back. Orton heads up after McIntyre and hits a superplex off the top. Jelly Roll, who had never made it far the ramp, limps back into the ring to a big pop. Orton makes the hot tag and Roll hits multiple clotheslines on Logan Paul. Jelly Roll hits chokes them on Logan Paul. Then hits a black Roll slam on McIntyre as the stadium is on fire. Roll moves in on Logan Paul. Paul looks for a blockbuster off the top, but Jelly Roll counters it into a spinning power slam. Drew McIntyre with a claymore on Jelly Roll, but Orton hits an RKO out of nowhere. Drew. Logan sends Orton into the ring post and out of the ring. Logan heads up and hits the Paul from Grace off the top to pick up the win. So your winners, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul. Damn it, man. I hate Logan Paul. Alright, so anyways, main event for night one of SummerSlam. World Heavyweight Championship main event. Gunther, who's the champion, versus CM Punk. CM Punk gets the same time for a main event, folks. Punk's attacked and out in the 10-4 crowd doors. Punk's respect. Alright. So, alright, we get the bell. We're reminded it's the first meeting between Punk and Gunther. The crowd rips off a loud chant for Punk. After several long moments, both men lock up and test of strength. Gunther pushes Punk back into the corner. Punk with a standing switch, putting the champ in the corner. The ref forces a break. Gunther adjusts his hair as Punk puts up his dukes, and the two kill more time before locking up. We're reminded that Gunther has roughly 4 losses in the last 5 years. The pace for this one will be slow and more technical. Gunther takes a lengthy stretch of time and control all but brutalizing Punk. Highlights include Gunther chopping Punk's chest and his hamstring. Ouch. Very slow, methodical pacing from our champ as he works over Punk's shoulders and arms. Punk tries to rally, but a huge chop from Gunther drops the challenger. Alright, so the pace picks up as both men begin laying into each other. Punk tries to show signs of life and near connects with the go-to-sleep GTS. Gunther, however, weathers in and unloads with more brutal strikes and chops to Punk. Gunther chops Punk over the top rope to the outside. Gunther resumes slowing the pace and taunting Punk. Gunther again unloads and with the powerful chops to Punk, completely battering with him throughout the match. Punk again shows signs of life, firing up chops and kicks of his own. Gunther shuts that down with a massive chop. Gunther rains elbow blows on a prone Punk as he berates him, yelling, "Who's a kid now? Call me a kid again. Call me a kid again." And Punk powers to a vertical base. Punk looks for a GTS, but Gunther escapes. But Punk looks for a sharpshooter, but Gunther kicks him off. Gunther with a scoop slam on Punk, taking control. Again, Gunther grabs Punk's legs and slaps on sharpshooter. Punk literally is tapping the canvas. I think trying to fire himself, but that should be a tap out. The ref lets it continue. Gunther looks for a leg submission, but Punk counters it for a figure four, then progresses into progresses it into a sharpshooter. Gunther grabs the rope to a forced break. A bloody and bruised Punk begins to show live, finally chaining enough offense together to be called an offensive combat. Punk with the chops with big chops, I'm sorry, and clothesline. Punk drives the champ into the canvas and covers for two. Gunther hits a big power bomb out of nowhere to stop Punk's momentum. Gunther takes some time recovering, then slowly approaches Punk. Punk slaps on a triangle hold out of nowhere. Gunther manages to escape. Gunther with a big chop to Punk, followed by a strike to the back of the neck. Gunther looks for a sleeper, but Punk was ready and fires off with fires out of sight. Russian late sweep. Several more moments pass as both men take time to recover. Punk begins to climb the turnbuckles, and the crowd comes to their feet. Gunther quickly rises and chops Punk to stop his progress. Gunther throws Punk off the top and halfway across the ring. Gunther climbs up top and hits a strong splash off the top, covering for two. Punk just did manage to get the shoulder up in time. Per Cole, compared Gunther's diving and splash to a flying Patriot donkey or something. Anyways, Gunther continues to keep the pace slow and talk trash. Hits another big clothesline to drop the exhausted Punk. Mixed cheers and boos for the champ as he plays the crowd into this. We're 20 minutes into the match. Anyways, Punk suddenly catches a charging Gunther and goes for the GTS, waking the crowd and this rider. Okay, all right. So, anyways, Gunther escapes and hits a powerbomb on the challenger, rebutting to the finish, folks. So Gunther hits what looked like a brutal shotgun drop kick on Punk in the corner. That looked brutal. Yeah, it did. Punk looks absolutely battered as Gunther hits yet another powerbomb. Punk is able to somehow hang on and kick out. The champ talks yet more smack to Punk, telling him, "I'm right here." Punk throws a weak punch to the leg. Gunther retaliates with yet more brutal chops. Gunther places Punk over the ropes, and continues to pummel him. Gunther slaps a modified anchor type hold on Punk on the corner turnbuckle, so that Punk's own weight is used against him. Punk falls to the floor, and Gunther pulls him up. Gunther throws Punk across the ring post, and then rolls him out and out of the ring to break the ref's count. The ref warns Gunther to take it back inside the ring. Gunther heads to his title on a pedestal and says having it means that he's the best in the world. Gunther climbs on the commentary table and raises his arms, taking the proverbial victory lap. Punk attacks Gunther from behind, making him pay for his arrogance. Punk rips Gunther's legs out from under him, causing the champ to crash into the commentary table. Punk sits outside the ring for a few moments, taking the critical breather as the ref counters and Gunther starts to recover. Oh, shit, the champ is busted wide open. Gunther's got a crimson mask as he tries to stumble into the ring. He barely makes it into the ring to break the count. He's bleeding a lot. Barrett thinks from a broken nose. Punk rallies and begins to attack the champ, blinded by his own blood. Punk with a diving elbow off the top. The crowd is on fire, and Punk calls for the GTS. Gunther turns it around and slaps a sleeper on Punk out of nowhere. The crowd is absolutely ecstatic. Punk powers to his feet and skates. Punk hits a GTS. The champ's staggering but not falling. Punk with the second GTS. Punk covers and picks up the win. So your winner and new World Heavy Champion, CM Punk. Yeah, anyways. Oh, here we go. Alright. Burn it down. Alright, screams across the sound system as 53,000 plus fans and intense erupt. Sarah Rollins comes out on walking crutches and wearing a big leg brace with Paul Heyman. The Oracle is holding his briefcase, Money Bank briefcase. Rollins yells insults at Punk and begins to walk up the ramp. Then he tosses the crutches aside, pulls off his brace, and charges the ring. Rollins uses the case to repeatedly hit Punk across the face. He's going to cash it in now. All right, so next match coming up. All right, World Heavyweight Championship match. CM Punk, who's a champion, versus Seth freaking Rollins with Paul Heyman. The contracts handed over, and we get the bell. Rollins charges over and hits a stomp on Punk. Rollins covers and picks up the win. So your winner and new World Heavyweight Champion, Seth Rollins. Closing this up. All right, show stuff. All right. So yeah, that was it. That's how the show ended and stuff. And yeah. So man, Seth Rollins cashing his Money in the Bank briefcase. Man, that was crazy. So it's like 10 years when he did that. So yeah, because remember at WrestleMania he did that and stuff. So which that never happened at WrestleMania when someone cashed in and stuff. So well, it kind of did for a second time, which was last year during WrestleMania 40 and stuff. But yeah, yeah, it was crazy. I was like, oh, when you hear that "Burn Down" theme song, I was like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? And it shows Seth Rollins coming up and stuff. I was like, oh shit. And then he faked his injury and stuff, and I was like, oh shit, here we go. And then he took off his brace and took off his jacket and stuff. So and then he went to the ring, and I was like, oh man, that's crazy. And so I was like, here we go. So yeah, but I was in shock that happened and stuff. So anyways, that was it for this video for night one of SummerSlam and stuff. So what was your favorite moment of this show for night one of SummerSlam? Hope you enjoyed it. Not whatever stuff. So like, subscribe, hit the bell button, leave a comment. If you guys want to leave a comment, if you guys want to leave a comment, so I'm on camera, guys. Who knows it? I see you guys tomorrow night after SummerSlam is over, but after I finish watching this other show and stuff. So anyways, that was it. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. All right, laters.